Justice League Unlimited issue 7, Mark Waid writing with Travis Moore on the art. So this is the penultimate part of this crossover. It says at the end it concludes in Unlimited next month, so I don't think the next Batman Superman World's Finest is part of it,
right?
Which is a little weird, but okay, sure. So yeah, so basically here we get the story that all the Justice League members have all been shot into different time periods by the Legion of Doom. We see them in various times, you know, some are in like, you know, medieval times, some are in like prehistoric times, some are like hundreds of years into the future. But the idea is that they're all spread out with no hope of getting back. And Grodd's sort of best of Legion of Doom have won and have dealt with all this. You know, we see Dick and Gar together at the end of the universe. We see.
Let me tell you, that image of Nightwing leaning on the polar bear version of Gar made me feel things. It was very sad. I was like, oh no, you know. So props to Travis Moore there.
Firestorms with a dinosaur. You know, the Legion of Doom are torturing elongating mans. The whole thing. No one knows where Batman and Superman are, and they're concerned by that. But ultimately, this kind of bubbles up to two things. One, Grodd wants to get into Darkseid's crack and take out whatever power he can from it. This is, of course, the Darkseid crack that's been there since the All-In special that, you know, was there. Yeah?
Yes, the Rift. Yes.
It's Darkseid's crack in time and space.
Right, but Darkseid's crack was that crack in time and space that he exploited for one of the other things that led to, I think, Dark Crisis, right?
I'm well aware of that, Matt, but this is Darkseid's new crack, and we're going to still refer to it as Darkseid's crack, okay?
I'm glad you're making that decision, because I was reading this at work and I almost yelled, "There's Darkseid's crack" out loud, and I'm glad I didn't.
So, right, so Grodd's like, hey, you've all served your purpose. You know, I'm going to reach in here and get all this power that's been left by Darkseid. And it turns out that Lex also likes the sound of this and starts betraying the rest of the Legion by blasting them.
Yeah.
So that we get some infighting in the Legion of Doom. Well, this is going on, though. We get how the Justice League are all going to come back, which is that because they were all fired with energy from these guns that are made out of Airwave's energy, even though he's kind of dead, at least in the corporeal form, Airwave's still alive in the energy form, and he basically starts talking to all of the Justice League across every time and space, and they're all kind of hearing each other. They're pissed at him at first because they think he's a traitor, but he explains that he was tricked, that he wants to help them now, and seemingly he's going to be the key to getting them all back to their correct time period. So he does like a whole thing where he tries to, like, you know, bring them all together. Although Darkseid's energy kind of starts to infest him, and he really struggles. So this leads up to a weird ending, though, where seemingly Grodd has gotten some weird Omega Darkseid powers because he comes out of a blast of energy with an Omega symbol on his head and sort of vague. It's not quite Omega beams. It's more like the energy around the crack, but he's got like that Darkseid kind of crack energy coming out of his eyes.
Yeah. Darkseid crack energy. That's a whole new sentence that's never been said before. Yeah, he's got the Kirby crackles going on with like the dots and the energy and that. He's got a big Omega symbol on his forehead, like he's you know, an ape version of Charlie Manson. Yeah, definitely. Again, this book went places.
Yep. And then the other big thing, of course, is the Airwave shows up, although not with the Justice League as you expect. He shows up with basically a bunch of weird leftovers. Like, he shows up with Batman Beyond, the Hook version of Aquaman, Abin Sur, Green Lantern. Robin does appear to be the young Robin, although I could be mistaken, but that's what it looks like. Jonah Hex. Some version of Batman with no sleeves.
Yeah, that's the year 0 or whatever that was called.
0 Year?
From 0 Year. There we go. That's the 0 Year Batman.
Ah, no wonder I don't want to remember it.
Yeah.
And then whatever weird blue-green Eclipso looking mother effer at the back there.
Yeah, the one that kicked was it Mr. Terrific? Yeah.
Yeah.
From across from him. He looks almost like when you see the Super Skrull over in Marvel, and he's got all the powers of the Fantastic Four. It's something similar to that, where like one leg is like super hairy, one's just energy, then his upper right torso is green, upper blue torso or upper right torso is blue, and he was on Jupiter in 2212. So I don't have no idea who this guy's supposed to be. But yeah, he shows up. Apparently he's a good guy.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. The one there's a couple things in here that I really liked is the idea that Airwave is seeing everybody at once. So it's almost like he's a being beyond time and space because he's connecting them all. So I thought that was a really cool moment, and we get like this greenish version of all the heroes that have been dispersed, right? That he's talking to. And then, you know, Luther's betrayal, right? Where Grodd's like, oh, only this, you know, this rock from Apocalypse can channel the energy. And Lex blasts him, and it ends up being a decoy like bomb, and it blows up in Lex's face. I thought that was pretty funny because, of course, the villains are going to turn on each other.
Yeah, I also like the gag where they're walking to the room with Darkseid's crack, and Bizarro freaks out because a Bizarro arm like falls out of a portal in the ceiling, and he's like, "That's weird. What's going on there?" And they just tell him to ignore it. But then, like a couple of pages later, he sticks his arm in Darkseid's crack, and it like cuts it off, and that's that's the arm that went back in time and landed on him like 2 minutes ago. I got a chuckle at that.
I'm not hurt. I hate reading Bizarro, but that was funny. Him yelling that he's not hurt, meaning he is hurt. You know, but yeah. This is like one of the weirdest things I've ever read by Mark Waid. And I mean read like the weird in like a fun way, like not a bad way.
Yeah, I will say
it's just I have no idea where this is going at any minute.
I like kind of overall what it's doing. I do think it rushes through parts of it though. Like I feel like we could have had a bit more of the heroes being displaced and like building up to like whatever this is, and then this like weird like C team the Airwaves assembled because he couldn't get all the regular heroes back is like, okay, that's interesting, but I feel like most of these characters have not been in this book before now, so it's not like you know, we've been teasing these various characters throughout the run in some way or another. They're just kind of randomly here, so it does feel a little bit like Wade's fallen into his trap of just loving to throw as many characters into action as he possibly can, but I didn't mind it. The issue looks good. Obviously, Travis Moore's art's really solid. Really fits the nice, colorful poppiness of everything. You know, the overall idea of them all being displaced, I like. I think the thing I like most about this issue though was the infight in the Legion of Doom, and like Lex trying to make his play to get the power for himself, and it all kind of literally blown up in his face. Was probably that was probably the most fun I had, especially when one of them, I think it's maybe Grodd, says, "Give my regards to Two-Face," the implication being that his face is going to be scarred down on one side. So I don't know, it's such a weird crossover, and looking back now it does kind of feel like the main story was mostly in Unlimited, but World's Finest was like this like ancillary extra stuff that made things make more sense. So I'd be very curious to see how it read without those World's Finest issues mixed in.
That definitely is curious, but it felt like those were more focused on Superman, Batman. So you're getting more of their aspect of things. Because then we get a editor's note with Scarecrow, and like, oh, what happened with Scarecrow? And I was like, oh, well, Superman took him out in World's Finest last time. So they're definitely suspecting that people aren't reading it in order, right? If they're adding that editor's note.
I guess, like in a weird way though, I like that World's Finest issue we got last time a bit more than this, just because it had time to do some more human things, then it was more funny seeing them react to certain things, whereas this is just all plot, so there's no time to like stop and like smell the roses, as it were. So you know, that's what it is. What are you giving Justice League Unlimited?
I mean, it's a straight 7.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's perfectly good. I had a fun time. The art's really nice. But yeah, a bit fluffy, a bit lighter and fluffy now that we're getting towards the end, and you realise that there's not actually that much meat in the bone as well. So
but
there's some fun stuff in there if you like all these characters.